The EU bankroll Take-Away project partners taught different regions in the country to dialogue with youth and community leaders as the program phases out. Tunisia continues to grapple against food scarcity as business centers struggle to meet her public demands. And a young Nigerian is out to help children in his country to access to education, especially in remote areas. Well, these and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, this is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching The World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. Now we begin with some rural developments, or should I say youth activities, because the Take-Away implementing partners on Monday, 26th September, began a tour, a 4-day regional tour to mark the end of their impactful program. The implementing partners discussed with key achievements, lessons learned, while outlining sustainability plans of the program with beneficiaries, community leaders, and the governor of North Bank region. Moses Mendi has the details in this report.
Take-Away has transformed the lives of many Gambian youth and brought dreams to reality in more than 3 years of its existence, but the program has now been phased out, and its implementers, namely International Trade Center, GIZ, Enabel, Instituto Marques de Valflor, were on a tour spanning 4 days in the North Bank region, Central River region, Upper River region, and Lower River region to mark the end of the highly impactful program. The project, launched in 2019, has supported the government of the Gambia to boost economic development with a focus on entrepreneurship, skills development, and small business support for young people. The tour kicked off in the North Bank region, where the implementing partners visited the Kuntaya Inside Training Center and Jawara Agricultural Training Center to assess the significant impact the project has had on the centers. They later held an interface with community leaders and program beneficiaries in Kerewan, North Bank region. The interface featured discussions on key achievements, lessons learned, recommendations, and the sustainability outlook of the Take-Away program. The governor of the North Bank region graced the occasion. Project coordinator and senior technical advisor for the Youth Empowerment Project, Fatou Mbenga Jallo, was speaking to benefactors in Kerewan, North Bank region.
So that is really a key, and we cannot talk about closing the program without going over the whole country, because Take-Away is the whole of Gambia, to engage with you, tell you what we've been able to do, but more so to listen to you. What has been good, what has not been so good, but also in terms of what are the recommendations and what are the things I hope that you say that we are going to be able to go forward with and be able to sustain and even build on what Take-Away has been able to get. I think that's really fundamental. So we are doing the regional program, going through all the regions, and then we would end with Greater Banjul area on the 5th of October.
More than 100 million Gambian dollars was disbursed for startup grants and support, while 13 million of private capital were unlocked for young entrepreneurs through the Take-Away program mini loan scheme. Through partnerships and provision of funds, Take-Away partners capacitated young people in several trades of life, such as skills development, entrepreneurship, access to finance, agribusiness, tourism, ICT, construction, and the creative industries, to consolidate the government's development goals, specifically contributing to the National Development Plan 2018 to 2022. As the project phases out, the beneficiaries came out to give accounts of how the program has impacted them positively.
Take-Away project, it was a life project Because today, personally, I'm feeding 12 people a day in my own community. It's because of my agribusiness. Though we have successes, we feel some beer, but now we organize ourselves to move.
I started my business in 2021 and then got the agro grant from Tekifi. I'm doing food processing in Kuntaya. My business is in Kuntaya. Right now, I'm processing ice cream, wonjo bawa juice, pepper sauce. I'm thanking IMVF for that.
Because I was among the lucky people who were sent to India to train compressed stabilized art block. So, Alhamdulillah, the train went successful. So, we were 14 in number who went to India for these compressed stabilized art blocks.
Salum Kinte, a beneficiary, said Tekifi has a far-reaching impact across all sets of ages, with its intervention in promoting education and called for the extension of the program. Some beneficiaries were trained to train others and are expected to contribute to the sustainability of the program. Director of Employment at the Ministry of Trade, Yahya Jammeh, told the beneficiaries that they fit into the government's employment policy.
Today, I want to present to you that we have what we call the employment policy. The employment policy calls for exactly what you are doing. And it calls for exactly what the projects have offered for you. So this is where we partner with them, and this is where they are supporting you people. We believe strongly as a government, we may not be able to provide the resources for all of you. But where projects like the Tekifi or programs like the Tekifi could come and offer you this opportunity, willingly we will work with them to ensure that our targets in the employment policy becomes a reality. The target for the employment policy is to have 150,000 jobs.
The program created more than 9,000 jobs, sustained more than 4,000 small businesses, and supported up to 7,000 youth with skills training. It enhanced improved management of up to 124 hectares of land, while more than 11,000 youth had support to generate income, and 41 partnerships with local organizations to strengthen capacities were established. These numbers could increase after a final compilation. Tekifi was funded by the European Union Emergency Trust Fund for Africa, with the Youth Empowerment Program as its component, and many more. Moses Imendi, Eyeafrica News.
We will do more news on the Tekifi Partners Regional Tour, hopefully before the end of the news bulletin. But for now, elsewhere, South Africa's mining production has significantly dropped for the 6th consecutive month, leaving operators worried about the situation. Statistics South Africa reveals that production fell by more than 8% in July, underscoring the sobering fact that the sun is fast setting on the industry in the country. Now, South Africa's mining industry remains a pivotal contributor to the country's GDP. Here's more details of that in this report.
Data from Statistics South Africa showed that mining output plunged by 8.4% in July year-on-year, following a downwardly revised 7.1% decline in June, the 6th consecutive month of decline in mining production.
It seems as if the commodity prices have softened a bit. Here and there was a decline, but the exchange rate is weakening. So that is actually supporting and it's something like I said, 60% better than the same period the previous year.
The latest data continues to hide inherent constraints. The issues at electricity utility Eskom are well documented. Then there's the logistics situation.
Ironically, both of these are influence logistics more than electricity by the increase in let's call it crime or the activities we think of syndicates.
The president has devised an economic recovery plan, but some say it may not be enough.
Eskom can't fix itself. Transnet can't fix itself. If the whole country is trying to fix Eskom, it would take a couple years to get it turned around. If the whole country was working on the railways, it would take a couple of years. But the whole country's not working on it.
What's it going to take to turn the sector around? A wake-up call has come from at least one analyst.
We're going to need at least 2 or 3 years, I think, of a recession for everybody to wake up and start thinking, what can I do that's best for the country? What's best for my company? What's best for the industry? And I think it will happen.
Analysts say that the outlook for the fiscus would likely be the same, with lots of effort going into fixing transport and electricity. The mining sector remains an important contributor to the country's GDP, and hopefully this will continue, but it does depend on commodity prices.
Back here in the Gambia, former leader of the All People's Party, Dr. Yahya Jammeh, who recently joined the PDOI's party, has urged President Adama Barrow to tackle corruption government officials, reminding them that they will be accounted for on the day of judgment. His statement came at a time when many Gambians are complaining of President Barrow failing them as the country sees massive corruption from government officials. Yahya Jammeh reports.
President Adama Barrow's government is being accused of ignoring the frequent reported financial scandals in the country. His government has also been named for mass corruption, incompetence, and ignoring the plights of its people just a few years after becoming the Gambia's third president. Some of the alleged corruption scandals levied on his government include the allegedly missing millions at the country's central bank and the Ferry Services Department, among other alleged corruption involving government officials. Dr. Yahya Jammeh, member of the DOI party, said President Adama Barrow should tighten his belt to fight corruption in his government.
He has to do whatever he can to stop corruption. I only want to make it clear that as a president, you are answerable to Allah. So on Yom Al-Qiyam, Allah is going to ask you, how did you handle what I gave you? So that's where he should be doing what is right. He forgets about nepotism and he cut down on corruption. Anyone that's corrupt.
Dr. Jammeh reminds the government officials, especially the president, that they shall be accounted for by Allah on how they lead their people.
It's not easy to govern, I know. And anyone as a president or the government has a big responsibility. But you need to know they have pledged allegiance to the people and the nation. And they have to fulfill that obligation for God's sake. Otherwise, Yom Al-Qiyam, day of judgment, you are answerable to what they have done wrong. If someone is corrupt and you are condoning it, that person has taken $1 million from the Gambia. He's going to pay 2 million Gambians that money. He has nothing left at day of judgment.
The Gambia has a score of 37 out of 100 on Transparency International's 2020 Corruption Perception Index, which is seen as an improvement from 2016 when it scored 26 out of 100. However, this figure might go up due to recent corruption scandals frequently reported under the Barrow-led government. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
And from the report by Yahya Jammeh, moving on, in a bid to mitigate the challenges children face to get to school in remote areas, a young Nigeria has built a free school on the water for mainly poor children to have access to education like those in the capital. Now, cognizant of the importance of his initiative, Noah Samede is also planning to extend his free school to other flooded communities in the future. Now, the beneficiaries, including parents and children, expressed delight and appreciations to the opportunity provided to the Makoko community. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Noah Shemede is the proprietor of Waina School in Makoko, a floating community in Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos State. Having grown up in this urban slum, he understood the struggle of getting an education. So in 2009, he built a free school on water so children here can go to school.
I look at the community and I see that this is my community, this is where I was born and brought up. And what can I do to assist the next generation? Because I know how difficult it is for me to be educated. And the next generation needs to go to school as well. I believe that every child in Nigeria deserves education wherever they are. We are on water. That doesn't mean that children cannot go to school on water.
Parents and children in Makoko were excited about the school. However, there was a problem of transportation. In Makoko, All activities take place on the water surface, but water transportation can be scarce and costly for poor families here. That's when Noah added a free school boat that picks and drops off the children.
Now that my school has boats, when we used to enter the boat, I used to see my friend. I'm happy with my friends, to play with them, to talk with them, to read the book with them. I enjoy it, I like it.
This is the first school that started in our community, and they don't take a dime from parents. They've even tried by providing the children with a school boat. We are extremely excited and grateful for this opportunity.
Floating communities like Makoko get little or no government attention. They're cut off from basic social amenities. Noah's hoping to extend his free schooling program to other floating communities in future. With Free School on Water project, Noah believes more children would have a chance at getting an education in such communities.
Well, what an inspiring report there. A young Nigerian helping children in remote areas to access to education like those in the, of course, urban centers or areas in the country. And with that report there, we now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us, we'll be right back. There's more coming ahead.
As part of government's commitment towards universal health coverage and also digitize the civil registration and vital statistics systems in the country, the Ministry of Health and partners will embark on a mass birth registration campaign and enrollment for the National Health Insurance Scheme effective August 1st, 2022. Every individual born in the Gambia or by Gambian parents and residents of the Gambia are eligible to register during this important national exercise by providing the following documents: birth certificate, national ID card or passport, driver's license, voter's card, residence permit, that certificate of parent, infant welfare card, alcalo attestation. Rush now to register and encourage your family and friends to do so during this important campaign. For any information, call 1025. This campaign is supported by the government of the Gambia and partners.
Welcome back. This is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And once again, many thanks for joining us. Let's now look at the rest of the story. Now, Gambia's Interior Minister Yahya Jammeh has admitted that the crime rate in the country is worrying and needs heightened response. Minister Sonko also called for the prosecution of 2 Chinese nationals who allegedly stabbed one another in a so-called robbery. The 2 are said to have stolen over $3 million from their employer. Mafuji Sise has the details in this report.
The rate of reported murder cases continued to surge in the Gambia since President Barrow came into office in 2017, with cases reporting almost every day. But Minister Yahya Jammeh insisted that the crime rate is downsizing.
My office hereby informed the general public that the crime rate in the country has witnessed a slight decrease, about 15% in number of cases reported for the first and second quarter of 2021 and 2022 as per our quarterly crime reports. I just want to discuss that a bit. When this issue came up, the question was, why am I talking about the decrease in crime when we have got recent incidents of murder and so forth? I just said this. we are referring to our crime statistics. It has nothing to do with the particular incidents that happened recently, because those covered a particular short period of time that we saw those gruesome actions that violated our people's lives, and people unfortunately lost their lives. But when we talk, we have to talk about incidents as well as how they relate to what was happening before, and then we conclude to say whether or not it shows an increase in crime trends or not.
Drug abuse is high on the increase in the country, with many young people abusing them. The Gambia recorded 3 tons of cocaine seized from the Gambia Ports Authority in 2021. Just recently, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency announced seizure of 734 blocks of suspected cocaine. Minister Sonko has this to say.
Generally, there is often a correlation on drug abuse and upsurge in crime. To this end, there is a general notion that some of these crimes recorded happen under the influence of illicit drugs and other forms of intoxication. For instance, we always talk about drugs, but we forget to mention about alcohol. There are reports around that young children are going around buying alcoholic beverages and spiking them. When that happens, it causes problems. Yes, drugs related, but alcohol also is a concern.
Commissioner Sarr takes on the crimes. He said many of the crimes reported are almost fake.
Most of these crimes that are also reported, we've discovered that are fake or staged crimes. We've all heard about these 2 Chinese nationals. It has been carried in social media that they've been killed here and there, which is not true. In fact, it's a staged crime. There was nothing like that. They stole money, but they're working for somebody. They mismanaged, they stole some part of the money and decided to stage as if they were robbed. Not only that, we have cases of that nature. We have some of these bureau de change, these foreign exchange bureaus involved in such. We have, as for this 2022, we have 4 of that kind. And 2 of these are female who are working those bureaus, stealing monies, and at the end of the day, they will run to the police to say, I'm not wrong. Or they broke my bureau and some money, which is never the case.
Porous borders are always the blame game brought forward by the immigration authorities. But how are they doing to put an end to this is not the story in Senegal, which bordered the Gambia in all 3 directions. Commissioner Mamanding S. Diba has this to say.
Yes, we will admit that we have people entering into the country in an irregular fashion, circumventing security checks at the borders. The fact of the matter is that this is an open secret that the Gambia is having a lot of porous entry points. We have official entry points, but virtually along the borders with our neighbors, almost every part is a potential entry point. The Department of Immigration is doing everything that we can to make sure that we take care of these things. And in fact, I think we are doing very well in this in that end. Not long ago, we have come into contact with about 69 kids, who later were identified to be Senegalese.
There is a rise in prostitution, crime, rape, and traffic accidents on the Smiling Coast. Who is to blame? Police Assistant Inspector General Landing Bojang has more.
Now, you go to in town, people, Gambians, building their compounds, renting is to teenagers, young kids, 14, 16, 17-year-old young Gambians. Guys come from Brikama, come from Sukuta, come from Busumbala, everywhere. Kids hiring a compound because they are paying him or her the money. And he, that person holding that compound, is having a family too. So this is supposed to be a combination. Everybody must have to come on board. We battle against these crimes happening. I agree with you. You can see what is happening.
For Eyeafrica News, I am Mafuji Sise.
And from the report by Mafuji Sise, next to the northern part of the continent, because Tunisian shops and supermarkets are facing a shortage of goods, from dairy to bottled waters, as well as the cash-strapped country grapples with a mounting economic crisis. Few weeks and now, several supermarkets in the country's capital, Tunis, have been displaying have empty shelves, leaving citizens worried about the situation. While local authorities attribute the situation to the recent panic buying in the country, some analysts warn that if the trend continues, it could lead to social unrest. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Tunisians are decrying the ongoing food shortages, which continues to persist in many regions across the country. Consumers have expressed concern about the lack of several agricultural products and foodstuffs at the central market in the capital, Tunis. People are warning that the situation reflects the food shortage crisis that has hit the North African region.
I've lived in Europe for decades, but food is more expensive here in Tunisia. Food commodities are not available or are very expensive in the market. The middle class and low-income families cannot afford to buy chicken, fish, and meat. Cooking oil, sugar, and butter are out of stock.
The Union of Agriculture and Fisheries stressed the difficulties faced by this vital sector, which plays a strategic role in boosting production and achieving food sovereignty. The farmers' representatives are worried about food shortages and have urged authorities to arrest the rising production costs.
Tunisian farmers and all operators in the food supply chain feel like they have been abandoned by the state. We need more support and assistance to produce the country's most needed food products. Tunisia can guarantee its food security, but this is the responsibility of the government. Food shortages will continue if the authorities do not act urgently.
According to the National Consumption Institute, which is a government agency at the Trade Department, food shortages in Tunisia are the result of several weeks of stockpiling and panic buying, as well as the impact of the ongoing conflict in Eastern Europe.
The global situation is complicating food supply, and despite efforts by the state, food shortages continue to persist. Food hoarding has reached alarming levels. People buy enormous quantities of rice, sugar, flour, and pasta. We cannot regulate the market if this behavior continues. Consumers must buy the foodstuff they need.
As supermarkets start rationing foodstuffs, the Tunisian president has urged the country's interior minister to step up the fight against traders who are hoarding products for speculation purposes. Said also ordered the deployment of thousands of policemen to control and secure the distribution channels against the food monopoly. Economic observers have warned against soaring inflation and food shortages in Tunisia. Analysts say if this situation persists, it could cause social and political unrest in the North African country.
And on to our final story now, and let's return to the Techifi Partners, of course, regional tour, because the European Union-funded Techifi project partners who are currently touring 4 regions in the country have inaugurated the Bansan Youth Center. Inaugural activities also included an opening dialogue between youth and community leaders on the second day of the tour. The partners were in the Central River region to discuss key achievements and sustainability of the Techifi program that has now come to a close. Moses Imendi has the details in this report.
The Techifi program has made it possible for the Bansan Youth Center in the Central River region to be functional once again. After general dilapidation, the center is intended to generate income for the youth to manage their affairs and provide job opportunities to discourage irregular migration in the region. It has been under renovation for the past 10 months. The Techifi partners spent $5 million to rehabilitate, provide equipment and capacitate center staffs through training on hospitality courses at GTHI, ICT, group and financial management, report writing and the development of standard operating procedures and business plan. IMVF Project Director Joanna Martins explains what the center stands for.
These multi-purpose facilities are meant to be led by the youth and for the youth. They are meant to be places where youth can find meaningful services. Services that can be on different levels. For instance, job centers, IT facilities, sports opportunities, so on and so forth. It's for the youth together with the stakeholders to define what is more priority in each of these venues.
The Bansang Youth Center is revitalized with focus on expanding all youth-led multipurpose centers throughout the country. Martins called on the Bansang Youth to look after the centers. Manager of the Bansang Youth Center, Karamo Tambajang, shares how the center will benefit youth.
The center is also here to generate income. These incomes are usually used to support activities, young people activities that are designed for young people, and also community initiatives. So basically, if the place is rehabilitated like how we have it now, I believe it is going to go a long way in promoting quality service delivery to our esteemed customers and young people of this entire CRR and the Gambia at large.
What followed was an open dialogue of the Techifi achievements, lesson learned, and sustainability outlook. The impact of Techifi was evident in the stories of the beneficiaries, as they share success stories that have been made possible by the program, while some made suggestions.
Initially, the support that we received from the Youth Empowerment Project, it's based on tourism, and there we were able to initiate what's called the community-based tourism, where we have to work with communities to help them develop potential tourism products to use it for income generating in their various communities. And this has helped a lot of young people and even elderly people, men and women that are living in these communities.
But during the training that I have with Techifi through ADWAC at North Bank, at least it gave me a great opportunity, and at least it in fact changed my life system, because nowadays I don't depend only on my salary.
There are many vulnerable districts compared to the district that I have just seen, those who benefited from these Techifi projects. So it will be very important also, if you want to assist the young people in this region, especially the most vulnerable, let's consider the most vulnerable district in the region.
So it's also very important to consider the disabled, because sometimes we tend to discriminate them. We tend to marginalize them. We don't calculate them in our decision making. So when we come to their participation, sometimes they isolate, and we term them as people who don't want to work.
Techifi has assisted to increase the production of 8 large garden walls, 3 processing plants, and 4 youth booths for agricultural processing and marketing constructed. It implemented 17 farmer field schools to improve technical skills, while 427 people received training to manage and maintain agriculture infrastructure. The program created or supported 140 agro enterprises and provided 42 mini grants, 9 rural youth awards disbursed, with more than 604 women and youth having been supported with solar-powered irrigation systems.
Mustafa, yes, we need the...
Moses Imende, Eyeafrica News.
And that report by Moses Imende on the Techifi Partner Regional Tour bring us to the end of this news edition. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. And of course, once again, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and do have a pleasant weekend. Bye for now.